More interesting.
Right. How much of what you say is just to make you sound more interesting, and how much of it is fact?
Very little of what I say is to make myself sound more interesting, but some of what I write is to make myself sound more interesting. So I never would have said I live in Greece for part of the time. But I did write that in my bio to give myself a little extra glamour. Okay, I live there like 3-4 months of the year.
You do now?
Yeah, except for right now.
That's a fact. That's
right
true.
Now that I'm
Right.
here.
Now, what did your dad do?
Growing up, my parents had a party store, but
Did they really?
yeah. I grew up with all sorts of. I mean, I thought that that's what they were into, so I really embraced that hard and was really into partying for a long time. But it turns out it was just like they got into it accidentally. They're just, business people. So
You're talking about like a kid's party store with like
they sell party supplies and novelty items. So like I grew up
joy
with
buzzers?
Yeah, a lot of whoopee cushions around my house, like tons. We've only recently gotten through all of them. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of, my parents weren't into material objects, so I didn't have, which is important in suburban Long Island, I didn't have, the best clothes, but, on Halloween, I was the best dressed.
Yeah.
Every other year was, a nightmare for me. I mean, every other time of year, all the kids would, tease me, but on Halloween, I was I had everything.
You were a god.
Yes.
You were a goddess.
Yeah.
I don't want to say were you close to your parents, but you think your parents understood you? Did they cultivate sides of you that have kind of evolved now? Your writing, did you show your parents your writing, and did you share with them stuff you wrote?
No. Well,
Were you writing back then?
I was always writing a journal, and my father asked me once if he could read what I was writing, and so I said, okay, but after I die.
Because you wrote, I really want to kill my father.
No, it was just, that's how it's
Probably
done.
better you do.
My posthumous papers.
Sure.
You don't publish your journal before you die. Although I have published a selection of my journal in my upcoming book. I just slipped it in there just to promote it.
But you wrote a journal and you didn't share it with anybody.
No, that was the whole point of it. And that it would be published posthumously.
Right. Is it?
But now I'm not
in a
sure.
safe place.
I'm not sure about that anymore. I mean, that was my idea when I took it up in 4th grade.
Right.
But my legacy, as every 4th grader should be concerned with. But in retrospect, I'm not sure it's such a. I've been looking over the pages, and I'm not sure if I actually am going to publish them. After I die, I might have to destroy them.
You started writing that when you were how old?
4th grade, I think.
What kinds of things did you write in 4th grade?
Well, that's you'll just have to wait, Alec.
Right. Give us just a vague notion of what you wrote. Was it all about today I walked home from school, it was cold, or was it beyond that? Was it like?
Well, it changed. So sometimes there were crushes, right. A lot of crushes. I think, which you might think sounds adolescent, but that's what the romantic poets were doing.
Oh, no, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't think that's adolescent at all.
So there's a long tradition of that sort of thing. And then I was trying to work on my descriptions for a while. So I would describe water and trees.
How many pages are there in the book?
Mostly it's the good stuff.
We need to edit down this book, I think. We need to edit it down.
It's volumes. Yeah, I don't think I'm actually going to publish it anymore. That was the idea then, though. But one time when I first came out of college and I wanted to be a writer, and so I had written this thing, and I had this idea. I told my parents, instead of getting a job, I'm going to be a columnist, because that's really easy.
Is it?
No.
Right. It's just what you said. What you say and what's real are just two.
I mean, that's I was at the point where I thought you just want to be something and then you do it.
Right.
So I had read them this thing that I had written. I mean, I thought it was funny, but their faces kind of just fell because it was really depressing, it turns out. Anyway, the point is, don't show your work to your parents. They won't get it. Because they just look at it to sort of figure out what's wrong with you. Some kind of Rosetta Stone to where they failed, rather than seeing its literary merit. Where they failed is pretty much where my writing succeeds, I think.
And neither of them were writers ever.
Well, my father's creative. So he used to write and to do different he has a sort of artistic temperament.
When does your writing change beyond the journal that we're never going to be reading?
Well, I guess I didn't really begin writing properly until I was around 28 or 29.